Hi, it's me, Daphne. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are gonna be going through all the books that I read in January. So in January, I actually read a lot of things. A lot of those things were very short, but I read like way more than I've read in a very long time in a given month. Also, please mind the construction noise in the background. They are literally constructing a brand new building from the ground up in my backyard basically, and it's noisy. So I completed 13 books in January and hard DNF'd 2 of them. One I kind of like soft DNF'd for a couple months, which we'll go into, but then officially put it on my tracker as DNF'd in January. And then one I was reading actively in January and then was like, this is not for me, DNF. And I'll go into that more. Actually, might as well start with them since I'm bringing them up. So the first one I DNF'd was Sanctuary of Kings by Catherine Moon. This is the 3rd book, I believe, in her Tempting Monsters series, which I've been enjoying. I read books 1 and 2, and then I think there was like a 1.5 in between that I also read. But this 3rd one, I think I just kind of got burnt out on the wide shoes and I just wasn't vibing. I didn't really like any of the men or monster men that she was with. I just didn't feel any emotional connection with any of them. Like in the previous books in the series, I felt that emotional bond between the characters, but these characters, it just felt so surface level and I was not having fun with it. I was like really struggling, and it's just supposed to be a silly fun time and I wasn't having fun with it. So I decided to hard DNF that, even though I'd been trying to read it for a couple months. Soft DNF'd for probably a couple more months. Then the other book that I hard DNF'd was shocking, and I'm so sorry if you love this book, but it was Gideon the Ninth. I had this as a selection for my IRL book club here with the people I know in New York City. I was really sad that I was hating it. I know a lot of people love this book. It's fantasy, it's like necromancers in space, lesbians, and I liked the idea of it. I liked the writing style. It was cool. It was like very sassy. There was a lot of like really intelligent words also, so as I was reading on my Kindle, it was fun to like highlight them and like save the definition of them and stuff, even though I lost all my notes when I marked it as not reading anymore and I didn't complete the book, which is a little frustrating, but whatever. But I'm learning about myself that I don't really love competitions in books. I love competition shows. Like I will watch the most random stuff. Like I will watch glass blowing or like metal shop stuff or like just the most random things that I've never experienced before in a competition show, like visually. But when it comes to a book, like I just don't care. And this book had a competition aspect and it was kind of mysterious. And our main character, Gideon, is like wandering around this huge mansion with these other characters that are like trying to solve this competition mystery thing that's going on. And she's not in the know. She doesn't know what's going on. And she's just kind of wandering around bored. And I was so bored being with her bored. Like, I gave it like another day, decided to DNF, looked up the spoilers online, and still was like unimpressed. And I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't read it. The book club meeting though, like when they could tell me all the tea and like the details, I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was like, but I still don't understand this person. And I was like, I'm like, sure, I like being in the know, but I'm like, I did not want to read it. I did not care at all. I'm so sorry, but that's enough said. That was kind of a lot. Let's talk about the books that I did read. Okay, so we're just gonna go in order. To preface, I was a co-host for Hannah Blackwell's Once Upon a Readathon, which was like ice themed, like Ice World, Frostlands themed. So my goal was to read a lot of like snowy, wintry, icy books, which I accomplished. And a part of my strategy was catching up on some Ice Planet Barbarian novellas. Like obviously they're like pretty short normally, but they have the 0.5 whatever versions too. So I kicked off January with reading 4 of those mini Ice Planet Barbarian books, having the Barbarians Baby, Ice Ice Babies, Calm, and then Aftershocks. So this is like 6.1, 6.2, 7.5, and 8.5 in the series. I've read up to 15, but like the reading order, I'm like trying to do the reading order of the whole Ruby Dixon universe thing, which is kind of complex. Maybe I'll pop up the graphic for you. There's like a reading list and then there's this like flow chart that's like super hard to read. I have to like switch out of the main series to go into a different series if I'm gonna read it how it's recommended. It's complicated, okay? But I've read maybe like 15 of the main books in this series and then a few of the novellas. I'm just gonna briefly touch on these because this is a huge series and there's like a lot of context and a lot of things that tie all the books together. But having the Ice Planet Barbarians baby is just catching up with one of the couples who got together in another book, but it's just them anticipating the birth of their first child. And then Ice Ice Babies is between Nora and Dagesh. The first one was Megan and Kishal, if I didn't say. And Nora and Dagesh have twins, Elsa and Anna, I won't forget that. It's just them like trying to rekindle that flame with each other after becoming parents and like being stressed, and like her husband's really stressed trying to take care of the entire tribe and his responsibility and having to hunt and like provide food for his family, and like also he's like stressed, okay? And she's like, does my husband not desire me anymore? And it's like them like getting on the same page again. Then we have Calm, which is a good prequel to like a major event that happens in a following book. It follows the healer alien woman, and she just senses that something is not right. There's like this ominous feeling as if something drastic is gonna happen, and it's just teasing that out. I already obviously knew it was gonna happen because I read further along. This book didn't add a lot of value for me reading it in that order, but I think reading it chronologically, it would be interesting because you don't know what's gonna happen yet, and you feel that like kind of ominous anticipation in this little story. Then we have Aftershocks, which is basically what Calm was, but like after that big major event happened. And it kind of just jumps around from a bunch of the characters that we've come to love and how they are dealing with this horrible event. Then I took a mini break from Ice Planet Barbarians and picked up this like 15-page short story called A Midnight Clear by Casey Bateman. I believe this was in like some kind of mini anthology thing. I don't know. It was a part of a collection of stories. On Instagram, Casey Bateman, who I follow, was saying that her book, this like little story, was going up for free, so I quickly downloaded it. And I didn't even realize how short it was when I downloaded it at the time, but it was nice, easy points for the readathon. Also, by the way, my team, the Snow Princesses, won the readathon out of the 4 teams, so this is my first readathon that my team has actually won. So thank you so much if you were on Snow Princesses with me. You killed it. I had a really good time chatting with some of you in the Discord, though I wasn't the most active in the Discord, but I tried to be a decent team captain. And obviously thank you for the people that were like super active in there and keeping the team spirit up and like keeping the experience fun and interesting for everyone. So thanks. Anyway, this one was a part of our Snow Princess lore. It touched on like that original fairy tale, I guess you could call it. Basically, this like Russian princess is traveling to London. She gets snowed out and has to stay at a brothel for like protection from the weather. Her brother's best friend, who she's in love with, comes to basically call her out and be like, what are you doing here? Come with me, you know? And it's their little sweet moment. Next, I read Wed to the Ice Giant by Layla Faye. I was gonna buddy read this with Hannah for like maybe a live show or something, but it fell through. I think Hannah just had a lot on her plate with the readathon and stuff, which I totally understood. Like that is a lot to deal with, and you know, obviously everybody has their personal lives and stuff. Like I get overwhelmed and I end up taking like over a week off by accident from posting and stuff. But it fit perfectly for this readathon. It was icy themed. It had ice in the title and all this stuff. So I was like, I might as well read it anyway. It was very short. It was a silly fun time. Okay, guys? So this is about an ice giant man, and he puts in a request for like a human wife, and they DNA match them for compatibility, and he gets matched with this woman. What's her name? Lucy. So it's Eldridge and Lucy. So it's their arranged marriage situation. He wasn't like King Kong big, but I'd say he was probably like 8 to 9 feet tall. So he was large everywhere, and just the way they had their intimate moment was very bizarre, but like also maybe kind of not super believable, but you know, you just kind of like go with it. But it was fun. And again, they are genetically compatible. So she could take it. I feel like I'm saying too much. So because I had fun with that one, I was like, okay, forget the ice themed stuff. I'm mood reading in 2024. So let me just move on to the next book in that series, because they're fun. The next one was Wed to the Minotaur. However, I didn't realize that this series is written by a collection of authors. I don't know like what the order is, but it's like one author, then another author, then another author, and then maybe they like kind of like repeat throughout the series. But Wed to the Minotaur was written not by Layla Faye, but by Eden Ember. I did not like this one. It wasn't icy, obviously. I wasn't concerned about that. This arranged marriage between our heroine, Oren and Vrakius. Vrakius is a Minotaur, obviously. He is a virgin Minotaur. It's like super insta-lovey between them. And there was like kind of like outside conflicts with these raider aliens. Like, I think they're on Earth, but all these aliens of different species have come to Earth and like taken over territories, and the humans are like barely alive. Like, they are really poor and struggling. So a lot of these women sign up for this program to like get out of poverty so they can like eat. Her family's like, lady, we can't afford to feed you anymore. You should sign up for this program and try to get married to an alien guy so he can take care of you because the aliens are thriving more on Earth. This is very specific, but that's like the overarching plot of this series. But for whatever reason, like, there was not enough conflict to make it interesting. It was just insta-lovey, and they were just in love. And that was it. There was just like these raids going on, but it didn't have anything to do with them really. And I felt like our heroine was kind of dumb, and she would make dumb decisions. It was dumb. I haven't been telling you what I've rated anything, but I rated this one 2 stars. Everything else so far has been 3 to 4 stars. Okay, so I'll say that the Ice Planet Barbarian books I've talked about so far, the first 3 were 3 stars, the 4th one was 4 stars. A Midnight Clear I gave 4 stars. Wed to the Ice Giant I gave 4 stars. Wed to the Minotaur I gave 2 stars. Next, I finally completed my first full-length novel, which was The Roommate Risk by Talia Hibbert. This is my second Talia Hibbert. I read that Chloe Brown book and I thought it was fine. I didn't love it as much as everybody else. I was just like, yeah, it was fine. But this one was pretty fun. So this story is between Jasmine and Rual. So Jasmine is a curvy, beautiful black woman, and Rual is, I believe he's Middle Eastern. I think he's Muslim. He's sober. He doesn't drink or anything like that. And Jasmine kind of drinks a lot. Like, it's not something that is a like synopsis level aspect of the book, but it is worth noting that it is recognized that Jasmine really overdrinks. But anyway, they are best friends. They met in college. Jasmine is the type of woman that every guy wants. She's very desired, but she is not the relationships kind of woman. She does not want to commit to anybody full time. She just wants to have her flings, have fun, whatever, more free-spirited in that. So in college, they hooked up one time, and then Jasmine was gonna be like, all right, bye. And Rual was like falling in love with this girl. He's like, no, like, I want to spend more time with you. And she's like, I'm not looking for a relationship, and I'm not friends with people I sleep with. And he's like, okay, then let's just be friends. Even though he like desires her. So he gets caught in this friend zone relationship with her for like, I think it spans almost 10 years. So it kind of does these flashbacks of them in the present day as older adults, and then flashes back to them over the years, starting in college, and how much he's pined for her this whole time. So if you love pining, this is a good one for that trope. It was a steamy, fun time. Sometimes I get annoyed with flashbacks and stuff, but I think it made sense with this couple to do that. And I think there were a lot of like mental health discussions that came up that were warranted and like well addressed by the author. Both of these characters aren't perfect people, but they love each other very much as friends and eventually as lovers. I ended up giving The Roommate Risk 4 stars. Very solid read. Wow. Okay, then the next book I read was Origins of the Academy Bully. This is 0.5 in the Zodiac Academy series. I had already read book 1 months ago. Going back to this like 0.5 one was interesting. I think it's better, honestly, to read book 1 before reading the 0.5, because in book 1, there's more of a reveal about a given character, whereas in 0.5, it's just like laid out for you, like, this is the facts, like, this person is this kind of creature, you know, and you don't get that shock value. I liked that I read book 1 before reading 0.5. I think our main character, he's in the Zodiac Academy books, and I think they're probably 19 years old. I think he's probably 19 years old, maybe 20. In this book, it goes back in time, obviously for his origin, I think he's 15. So there's no spice, there's no romance, obviously, it's just his origin and like his relationships with the other characters that we've met in book 1 and why he is the way he is, the kinds of pressures he has on him, his motivations for things. It gives him more depth, like you might have judged him more harshly in book 1. Not that the horrible bully aspects that he does in book 1 are warranted, not even a little bit, but like he's maybe not as evil as you thought because you know how he's treated and what he really cares about, at least when he was 15. I don't know how that might have changed over the years, but I don't know. It just adds this layer to this character. Well, I guess I can tell you who it is. This book focuses on Darius, one of the bullies in the series, and Lance, who is the teacher in book 1. And this was like back when he was a student at the Zodiac Academy, and his relationship with Darius and Darius's family. So yeah, that was really interesting. I really enjoy the world building in this series. I mean, I've only read the 2 books so far. I really need to reread book 1, like hopefully this month in February as I'm filming this, and then move on to book 2 also in February. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull that off because those books are long, but like I really want to. I just need to like stop being distracted by my phone. I realize I'm like a phone zombie. I'm an addict. I need to go to an intervention for how addicted I am to my phone. It is disgusting. So I need to spend less time doing BS on my phone and like read the books that I want to read so that I can have time to get through like 1,600 pages worth of content, you know? So that was that. Really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it a 4.5. I don't remember why. Probably just because like, again, you get that extra layer of understanding of Darius and Lance because you want to hate them in book 1. But like, yeah, I thought that was interesting. I don't think I would have rated it a 4.5 if I just read this on its own first with no other context to the series. I think reading book 1 and then reading this one led to that 4.5 rating. Then I went back to my Ice Planet Barbarian business and continued on with Ice Planet Honeymoon. Hold on. I am editing this video right now and I realized I skipped over one of the books. I also read Barbarians Rescue, which is between Summer and Warwick. So let me just quickly tell you about it while we pause on the other book. So in this book, Summer is an Asian heroine. She's very chatty. She kind of like word vomits a lot. She can't like control herself. She's just very like verbose. And Warwick is completely the opposite. He's very quiet, and the tribe goes through like another trauma. I don't want to like spoil it because a lot has evolved throughout this series. This is book 14, I believe, of the main books. But all you have to know is that the tribe is in trouble from an outside threat, and Warwick and Summer are the only people to witness it, and they have to save the rest of the tribe. If it's not clear, Warwick is one of the blue aliens and Summer is a human woman, and it's their romance. They haven't gone through resonance or anything, so they're not officially mates, but they have a romantic connection together, and it's their love story. So it was very fun. A lot like progressed in the overarching story, and I'm excited to continue on in the Ruby Dixon world. So let's get back to me over here on the screen talking about Ice Planet Honeymoon between Vectel and Georgie. This one is, sorry I'm not looking at you, I'm just looking at my tracker, is book 1.5. And it sticks with Georgie and Vectel as a couple. Georgie's coming into her role as basically the leader of the human women. She's just feeling stressed and she just wants to leave the cave where all the chaos is with everybody and just have some alone time with her husband. There was extra motivation for why she wanted to leave. She didn't want to just like go off and have like a romantic like week or whatever. There was other important business that she wanted to do while she was away and she needed Vectel's help with, but she didn't want to upset the other tribe members. There is a little bit of that added nuance, and honestly, like book 1 is like pretty dark at the beginning and then it's fun and silly, whatever. And I would say kind of the same for this 1.5 book. It sounds like it's supposed to be fun, like, oh, it's just gonna be a steamy like honeymoon, but no, there's like some dark stuff that I just kind of skimmed over. I was like, okay, I know where the series is going. Like, I think this is like thoughtful of Georgie to do. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but I was like, man, this is freaking depressing. I skimmed most of this novella, but I got it done. I technically read it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It's just fine, solid. I think it would have been better if I read it chronologically. Then we finally move into the first physical book that I read in January, which was Forever Never by Lucy Score. And her books are chunky, man. This book is 550 pages just about. It was really fun. So the premise of this book is that we have Brick, who is in love with Remy. He's been pining after her pretty much since the day he met her. They live on this small island in Michigan, I think it was. It's very icy, so like the winters are very harsh, but they get a lot of tourism in the spring, summertime. He's been pining after her, but he feels like he can't be with her because she is his brother's high school sweetheart, his boss's daughter, and his ex-wife's best friend, all in one woman. Remy is all of these things. He is a police officer, and she is back in town after being away on the mainland for a couple years doing like art stuff, and he can tell something is wrong. She shows up with a broken arm. She seems scared. She's not her bright, bubbly self, confident self that she normally is, and he's determined to find out why. Because even though he has been pining for her and that he feels like he can't cross a romantic line with her, he is determined to be the best protector of Remy that could ever live. Like, that is his role in his mind when it comes to their relationship, their friendship. She is pushing against him, like pushing him away, because one, she doesn't want him to get tied up in the danger and drama that's going on in her life, but also she's in love with him too. And she's tired of the excuses, and she's tired of being rejected, and she doesn't understand what his deal is. Like, clearly he wants her, but she just gets rejected all the time. They do some flashbacks of their relationships over the years, but for the most part, Remy is 30 in the main timeline, and Brick is 7 or 8 years older than she is. So we have a bit of an age gap as well. I had a lot of fun with this. It was nice to like read a physical book again. I'm like, oh yeah, I can read physical books. I don't have to be tied to my Kindle all the time. So that was nice. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. Very solid read, fun time, very steamy. The romantic scenes were very enjoyable, and Brick is quite the man, and I just love a man that passionately loves his woman. He just wants to give her all the pleasure in the world. So, super fun time. I'm glad I checked another Lucy score off my physical TBR. And then we are at the final book that I read in January, which was just a smutty, supposed to be fun time, and it was called Buying the Virgin. This is box set 1. So they're like super short novellas. I don't even know what you would call them anymore. So there were 5 of them in this little box set, but you could just read them as chapters, and it just makes like a whole book. I don't know what the other box sets in the series, if they follow different characters, probably. So basically I just picked this up because I wanted a silly, smutty time. I got this book for free from one of the free download on your Kindle whatever day events. The reviews on it were pretty good, but this is just pure smut, no allusion to romance. Nobody's interested in being in love in this book. It's also MFM, which I didn't realize going in, which is fine. It wasn't too many people. There's definitely like a primary male, and it's BDSM vibes, master vibes. So the premise of the story is that this woman, Charlotte, whose name isn't actually Charlotte, that's just like her fake name while she's going through this scenario, she is desperate for money. I think she's 22 or something, like she's young 20s, but she's still a virgin because she was in a marriage with a man who I believe was probably gay, but they were like Christian or something, so he like married her anyway, and their parents wanted them to get married, but he'd like never touched her while they were married, and now they're divorced. She wants to start her life over and go to college, but she needs money. So she agrees. I don't know how she found out about this. It kind of just starts with her like on the auction block, but she agrees to sell her virginity, and she's like at this big auction with all these like rich men who are vying for her virginity. Yeah, that's the premise of the story. So a guy wins, and then luckily he's very handsome, older gentleman, and he's very gentle with her, and he introduces her to his friend who will give her more money if she like menage a trois with them or whatever. Mind you, this is only for a week. Like, she's only agreed to be with whoever won her virginity for a week. So it was that, and then they just kind of like level up the like the stuff that happens throughout, and then more people get involved at times that we don't even know their names, and like it got crazy, and I was like, this is a lot. I didn't realize how much I signed up for. I ended up giving this book 3.5 because it delivered on what it wanted to deliver, which was just BDSM smutty times, but like I personally love a little bit more emotional connection even in, you know, spicy things. So yeah, I didn't like have the most fun with it, but like Like, it wasn't supposed to give all that. I don't know. Yeah, so that's that. What a weird way to end the month. Not the most successful read at the end, but like, I don't know. Anyway, so those are all the books that I read in January. A lot more stories that I had to discuss with you than I'm used to. It was a lot of books for a wrap up, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me. If you did, please feel free to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and obviously it helps out my channel. And I will catch you in another video. Bye!